right off the top, why are some companies? Savinoff is doing used equipment now for over 30 years. Why are some companies going? Do they go towards used as opposed to new?
It's usually a combination of delivery times. New equipment could be 6 weeks to a year or more to deliver, and cost. They're trying to keep their costs down, so it's usually a combination of cost to delivery. Is there instances where something isn't manufactured anymore? That happens. Parts, they come to us for parts. For used equipment, maybe new suppliers don't supply that model, don't supply those parts. So it's usually a combination of those factors.
Yeah. Is a lot of the equipment staying here in Canada? I know that Savinoff is bringing a lot of the company or originates from here. Is it staying here and getting sold to mines within Canada and the U.S., or does it go pretty abroad a lot of times?
It depends. It usually depends on the type of product. We do export a lot of equipment. North America and Europe has traditionally had very good manufacturing for mining equipment. So we export a lot of equipment, but a lot of it goes to the local mines as well. It helps when the local mining industry is doing well. Then we're supplying more equipment to the local industry. If there's any kind of a downturn, which happens time to time, then we're typically exporting a lot as well. Mines shut down here, then we export equipment.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a combination, but we export it all over the world.
Yeah. Obviously there's going to be a different in technology, that's one, but what are some of the, when you're redoing a piece of equipment, like these LHD vehicles and equipment like that, what quality does it end up being at by the time it lands at their mine site? Difference between a new and a used piece of equipment?
That's a good question, because most clients have that question, and it depends on how it's supplied. Used equipment covers a wide variety. New is new. You know what you're getting. It has a warranty. Parts are available. Used is different. It could be a rusted out piece of junk in a field, or it could be completely rebuilt. So it really depends on what the client wants and what we're able to offer. Some equipment, it's not worth it to rebuild, but it's in good operating condition, so a company can use it. So it really depends, and it's really important for purchasers of used equipment to ask the questions to know exactly what they're getting. It's hard to know exactly with used, because sometimes if it's as is, which is a common term in the business, as is what? So is it as is operating? Is it as is refurbished? Is it as is? We have no idea. So as for Savinoff equipment, we try to communicate as honestly as possible and let them know what it is so they can make a decision with the proper information.
I'd make the assumption that as is going to be less expensive. But is there other reasons that they want it as is specifically, or is it just a cost thing?
It's cost, it's time, it's delivery time. So they want it tomorrow, which when they're buying used, often they do want it tomorrow.
Because that's one of the major factors.
Yeah. So then they might just take it as is and have their mechanic look it over, etc. So,
right. Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, then maybe they just try to save money and they'll rebuild it themselves.
Yeah. What kind of I know from obviously knowing a bit about the company as one of our clients and family connection and everything, but what are, I'm not there on the front lines with the sales, so what's the size of the companies that Savinoff equipment is generally or not even size, but type of operations, underground, open pit, or the ore processing part, which sort of function are they generally working in, and scale of mine?
That depends on what's available. Used equipment, it's offered to us typically. So we might take a mine down, dismantle a mine, or somebody might offer us a small pump, for example. So depending what we have available, brings in a different clientele. So
Right.
a good example right now is we have a plant available in South America, or Central America, sorry. It's a 6,500 ton per day gold and silver plant. That's not going to be a small cap miner, or you know, a placer miner isn't going to use a plant like that. So it's a different clientele than, say, a local placer miner that has a little 12-inch trommel and wants a little slurry pump or something. So it's different. It really depends on what we have available. So,
I guess that's kind of one of the challenges of the used equipment, because if you're talking to someone who new, it's kind of like they're pumping out. They might customize it, but it's kind of the same. But your demographic is actually changing continuously based on inventory that's coming in.
it is, yeah, it totally is. It depends where in the world it is. We broker a lot of equipment it could be located in Africa, Europe. We get into all kinds of things, construction, electrical. So it really, yeah, I mean, we've dealt with General Electric people. They're not a mining company. But, you know, they've reached out to us before to sell surplus equipment. So, yeah, it really varies. It's hard to pinpoint exactly who our client is.
I was actually in the, we were hauling the Martys in this morning, and I was in the elevator, and an executive from Ledcor, I said about that we were, Savinaw was one of our clients, and he right away he knew Savinaw, and it almost doesn't matter where I go. Like, I could go into a restaurant in downtown Toronto and mention Savinaw, and somebody bought something from them at some point. It's, because I think it is, because it's availability, and if it shows up on your website and someone buys it, it could be from anywhere. Especially, and I think it's a lot of that specialized, right? It's even the electrical, I remember hearing about that, that they have an electrical system. They don't want to replace a multi-million-dollar system. They need those couple parts, and it's not, GE doesn't manufacture them anymore. So they need to put a new one in, and it's quite a fascinating, multi-layered kind of company. I want to go into the new a little bit. I want to start with the trommel line and then go into the high G, because that's the placer. Both of those are placer equipment. Where does the trommel come from? The new trommel, the ST.
Where does the trommel originate from, or where does the new one come from?
I'm trying not to get into confidential information. But well, I guess I'd ask it in a different way. Why new trommels? Because I know Savinaw sold trommels for years. So more my question is why now launch a new trommel into the market?
The trommel it's hard to find used trommels, and there's always a need for them. So we just decided to build them and supply them to people who need them. Trommels get beat up out in the bush mining. So typically when someone needs one, if it's used, it has to be fixed anyways.
Right, yeah.
Or refurbished. So the time to build a new one might take a few weeks, but it takes a few weeks to rebuild a used one anyway. So and they don't come available in the mining season. They're being used. Yeah. So that's why we decided to start building them.
Is it a heavy duty? I mean, without being an expert on trommels, I've definitely seen some use mesh, some use steel. Is it a fairly heavy duty one in comparison to other ones in the industry, or is there sort of an advantage to the Savinaw trommel line?
We designed ours to be fairly simple to use, well built. If it can mine in Canada, our thinking is it can mine anywhere. We've got them working in Guyana, the Yukon, around BC, and they can withstand pretty much anything miners can throw at them. Aside from purposely trying to destroy it.
Get rid of it. But I noticed, because I've been to a few of these shows, and I walked around, and then I was out at the site kind of just inspecting it and looking at it. It seemed like everything was thick, the steel was thick. It wasn't sort of like these flimsy little mesh that they put on some of them and that. Yeah,
anybody that will tell you they could build a trommel. They can throw a trommel together, but it's the quality, using the right components based on experience dealing with clients. what it takes to keep it in operation. It's not the fanciest machine on the industry.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be cost-effective, strong, well-built, and should last many seasons if you take care of it. So.
Got to jump into the one that's exciting. We actually have a cutout of one of the machines here.
I saw that on my way in.
Yeah, it turned out good. The High-G concentrators, now they've been around. Now you've taken on the line. You've personally taken on and you've partnered with Savona to distribute them. But they've been around. This is not a new, this isn't yesterday that this got released to the market. This has been around for a while, right?
Yeah, so it's been, High-G was designed in the 80s, the early 80s. Kind of around the same time that a couple other brand of concentrators, Nelson, Falcon, those are well-known brands. They all kind of came from the same technology, the same place, and they all kind of had their own take on it. So High-G developed out of that by engineers and a very intelligent mechanic who had a lot of experience in the field installing and operating concentrators. He worked with what was on the market. He wanted to make some changes, improve it. So that's what he did, and that became High-G. So in the early on, it was intended for placer use, alluvial placer mining. So some circumstances that are typical of placer is the feed side is not standard. It's larger than in a grinding application.
Oh, because you're not crushing it down.
You're not crushing it to a specific size. So he wanted something that could handle those changing parameters, changing slurry density, that type of thing. So that's why he built the High-G concentrator. Many were sold. Unfortunately, after about 20 years of operating, that gentleman passed away, and one of his engineers continued to build them and supply them, but they weren't really being marketed. They were just used on consulting projects, etc. So then I stepped in. It was offered to me. I stepped in and purchased the company because over the years, everybody wanted a High-G, but there wasn't as many on the used market. So whenever we got one, it was sold instantly. So so that was kind of the impetus for me to take on the line and incorporate it into what Savona Equipment does with used equipment.
Yeah. I guess that says a lot about a brand, though, when it's years later and there's still people asking for it, even though it's not. It's because for a time it wasn't in production. So
for a time, they've always been produced. They weren't advertised, you could say.
Yeah.
They didn't have Crownsman partners.
Oh, thank you.
That's our plug.
Except we should mention he was not paid for that.
Well, it depends how good the plug is.
I just speak the truth. What can I say?
And how has it been received into the market? You do have there's no doubt about it. You've got some pretty stiff competition with the Falcons, the Nelsons. How is it being received now that you are starting to put it out? I know we've had people already come up and ask about it. How are people responding to it? At the ground level where you're starting to push them into the market.
I think what they want to know is that it's going to be supported. There's going to be service. There's going to be parts. It's not going anywhere. That's their main concern. A lot of the experienced technical people, they know High-G. Some of the new people, the younger people, they don't know it. They haven't heard of it, to be honest. So that's our challenge, is getting the word out there that it's back in business. There is parts. They can be shipped anywhere in the world. There is a technical team behind it. It's a good, solid product, and Savona Equipment supports it. And we've been obviously in business for 30 plus years. So I think there's a lot of excitement. These times people want to see a lot of examples out in the field. So that's what we're working on, is getting a bunch of concentrators out in the field all over the world, working so we can explain to people and show people what we already know about high G concentrators.
And have you got the ones that have got out in the field already, good response from them and their operations? And
Great response. I think it's okay to mention there's a concentrator working up in Nome. That's probably one of the most challenging applications we've dealt with, saltwater out in the ocean. They're very happy with it. It's been challenging because of you're out in the sea trying to, keep everything working, and there's a lot of issues with, specific to that application. But yeah, it does what it's supposed to do, and that is recover very fine gold.
Yeah.
And they've always worked, and they work now. So.
And it was originally designed to be able to handle a little more variation than its counterparts. That was.
Yeah, it's meant for the kind of the changing parameters inherent in placer miner and placer mining applications.
Yeah.
Interestingly, you have a placer gold booth
Yeah.
down from you. I
right
saw
next
that.
to us. Yeah.
Yeah.
They have a lot of nuggets. This concentrator is not really capturing nuggets. Sluice boxes can do that, but what sluice boxes can't do is recover very fine gold, like 44 micron 325 mesh. So that's where a high G comes in.
So you're starting out with generally you're starting out with a trommel, then you get it down to the concentrate, which is that fine, it's basically flakes of sand, size gold then, right? And that's where the concentrator comes in.
Well, yeah, a trommel is a wash plant, so it can be a vibrating screen or a trommel. Typically, they have a sluice box, which is, I don't know how old the sluice box is, but very, very, very old. It's been used for many centuries. So then it goes, so it's actually, you can run concentrate through a high G concentrator and upgrade the concentrate. You can also run head ore, like fresh material. Some of them have a screen on them. You need to screen it down to 5 millimeters.
Oh, I see.
It's about 1/4 inch. And you can feed that through. So anything 5 millimeter minus,
Right.
it can recover as fine as kind of 44 micron. That's the limit, I would say. You'll get some recovery finer than that, but that's kind of the limit. So.
And you have quite a range. We'll wrap up. I know you want to go out and meet some people in the show. So, but you got quite a range too of sizes. Some people watching have never even heard of a gold concentrator. So, what's the size range of these machines typically?
They go from 1/4 of a ton an hour to up to 60 ton per hour.
Wow. Oh, so big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A maximum capacity would be about 120 ton per hour.
Really?
So from there, you multiply the units. You don't build a bigger unit.
Oh, I see. Oh,
So-
okay. So these get put into a process as well, a placer process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not a standalone machine.
No.
Yeah.
No. The little test size units, like
Yeah.
the one on the sign, that is a standalone unit.
Yeah.
You hook up a pump, take a bucket of material, whether it's concentrate or gravel, and run it over that screen,
Yeah.
and you'll get your concentrate. You'll get a concentrate that then you clean up on a table, and that's how you get your final gold.
Right. Yeah. We have to make sure we get links and everything in there
Yes.
as well.
Yeah,
So
we'll definitely put highgconcentrators.com right on the bottom.
little free
just-
advertising.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, and your email for sure, so
Okay.
that they know.
Some contact info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jordan, thank you very much. I
Thank
will
you for having me.
probably
it was
see
fun.
you in about 20 minutes. Catch up with you for lunch.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, George.
Sweet.
So we're still rolling.
We
We're at
are.
49 minutes. We've got 2 hours left to do this podcast. We're not stopping. We're doing all day podcast now. No, I'm kidding. I'm so scared. You got more energy than me. Why are you scared? I'm the one that'll burn out.
That's why I'm scared. I need to keep up that energy.
You'll see me. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm glad we got someone to represent new and used.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to see both. Yeah, there's a lot of different. So it depends on, I guess, what a mining company or anybody is looking for, which will kind of make that decision whether to go with new or used.
Yeah, it's funny. Even us setting up our sound equipment, it wasn't always about how much or how little we wanted to spend. It was about finding the right equipment for the right application,
That's
and
right.
mine's no different. Um, and one of the things that struck me is, and I wish I had have asked Jan about it when we were interviewing for GHH, is lead times. Used equipment does not have near, and we have that with Power Zone equipment. We have that with Savanaw equipment. They're used suppliers. If that equipment is available, then it can be distributed. I mean, sometimes within weeks. If it's as is, it can be. And they want it for parts. They want an LHD truck for parts. They throw that on the truck and it's gone and on its
Yeah.
way. So it really depends on the application. It's not just the cost savings. That's not the only reason people are buying.
Yep.
These concentrators that Jordan's talking about, being able to handle more more challenging materials. That it's if you need that particular thing for where you're working, and there's not a new one available, and the site you didn't realize you needed it, and you go into operation in a week, you don't have time to wait. So it's really good to, I think, for someone buying equipment to understand the difference. And it comes down to reputation. A company like Savanaw has been around 30 years. You can go check them out. You can, they're easy to find. High G, I mean, they sell used High Gs when they come available. But now High G is being backed by that brand, and that's the kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I would venture to say there's new equipment that is garbage too, right? It's about understanding the brand, understanding the advantages, and knowing what you need, and that's the engineers and the planners
right.
and the people that are putting these mines together.
Yeah, I actually also find that a lot of the times, I mean, this used equipment is, it's been used for years and it's still being used. It kind of shows you that, the manufacturing from years ago is still really good.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of the manufacturing being done now, which is a lot of the times, I feel not as great. They're not meant to last as long.
Yes.
And I think it's for the point of, use it a couple years and come back and buy another one.
Well, yeah, and I mean, a big challenge with new is the technology part, right? I mean, this company like GHH they have to make it ready to be used, and I think that's the big thing. So I think there's still those simplified versions, but even those, because technology has changed, you still need to have an understanding of even a simplified,
Yeah.
because the engine is different. The wiring is going to be different. It's going to be a different drive system. All those things come into play, and yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to compare the quality of this simplified LHD vehicle or an underground rock truck compared to one from 30 years ago, both fresh off the lot, and
Can we do that?
Maybe someone can fund us to do the research. I don't know if I'm not paying for it.
Maybe we should do a podcast based on that, and we'll go and ask if we can use.
We can, yeah. We can put Cat's machines against Cat's machines.
Oh, that would be really cool.
See if their quality has improved on their basic designs.
We should do that. Are we writing this down as an idea?
Oh, we'll remember this.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Yeah, I like both interviews were good. They both know their product.
Yeah.
It's nice for me because there's a family element of it. So you obviously want to see your family succeed even beyond them being a customer.
Yeah.
But what I like is getting really that understanding of that Savanaw equipment is not competing against GHH.
No.
They have different customer bases, and it's about supplying that demand
That's right.
and making sure. And ultimately, when it doesn't affect GHH when someone buys used, and doesn't affect Savanaw when someone buys new. I mean, there are cases. Obviously, there's times where they're going to compete a little bit, over someone who's kind of on the fence of going either way.
Yeah.
But I think what both companies, and I know Savanaugh a little bit better, but what these companies are doing really well, and from the way GHH was talking, is it's really about understanding what the customers need, and that's going to make the major difference when having a company that is going to figure out what you need and then put them in the right direction. They're obviously not going to tell you, well, no, you should do. Well, in some cases they do. Sometimes. The other one I didn't get to dig into it as much with Jordan is about plants. Because Savanaugh does a little bit of underground, but there are a lot of ore processing. Jordan was saying about that plant that they've got for sale right now in Central. We should put a link to that
Yeah,
in the
actually,
podcast
yeah.
as well. And that plant, I mean, some of these plants, they've only operated. I don't know the details of that one, but you'd have to talk to Savanaugh for that. But
And we'll put their contact information at the bottom too.
Some of these plants have not been in operation very long. So it would be, and you're talking about lead time as well, Jordan said up to a year sometimes. Like you're talking ball mills and crushers, and they got to manufacture these heavy, huge pieces of machinery. And so sometimes it's just, you don't want to wait for it. You can tear down a plant, put it back up. The system has already been engineered. So you're talking about savings in money, time, design. There's so many advantages to it, and that's something, again, I wish I had got into a little bit more with Jordan, is the advantages of a plant, which is different than just buying a one-off LHD truck or a crusher. When you buy a full plant, you're getting a full operation already put up and designed, and it's all about finding the right. I mean, you got to find the right company to tear it down, to put it back up. This obviously these are multi-million-dollar projects. There's huge challenges involved, but it at least eliminates one because you know the plant. You have the documentation that says the plant operated properly. You're not having to choose, okay, should I buy an LHD truck from them, or them?
Yeah.
They've already got, well, LHD, that's a different example, but a ball mill, this is multiple brands, multiple technology. No, we need it to produce this much. We need to recover. We have this grade of gold in the ore. Okay, this is the plant we need. This is the one. So, yeah, we definitely should put that plant and a link to other plants they have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just as a support to Savanaugh, but to showcase the range that you can. I think people within the industry would know. I don't think people would realize that you can take a plant down from Central America and ship it almost anywhere in the world, and have a full operation. So it's pretty incredible, the work that they do. And so, yeah, we'll put some links to some of that.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we'll definitely put the links down there for Savanaugh equipment, for High-G concentrators, and for GHH.
Oh, absolutely.
So
yeah.
you'll have, where to contact, or who to contact, or who we've interviewed anyway, to get more information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like, too, he talked about the autonomous a little bit. So
yeah. Hopefully we can
cut
talk about that.
cut that in a little bit.
Yeah.
No, he was a good interview. So where can people follow us, talk to us, cheer us on, support us?
Well, you can visit our website at crownsman.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at crownsmanp. Also, follow us on Facebook, again, crownsmanp. Because we do a lot of these events. So, if you want to know where we're at next or where we're filming our next podcast, that is where you'll head. Our events are always posted on there.
Yep.
You can also follow yourself.
Yes.
At Jared Downey.
Jared Downey, that is where I am.
Or follow me, because I'm cooler, at Gaudi Molina too.
I'm also sharing out the stuff that you share anyway, so
yeah,
might as well
he just
follow you.
piggybacks on my posts. But yes, absolutely. And then, High-G, highgconcentrators.com.
Yep.
Savanaequipment.com. GHH, I will figure, I'm not entirely sure their website.
That is ghhmining.com.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, on our website, you have, we do reports,
Yes.
which is partially funded by the IAC, which stands for the International Alliance of Canada. International. Industrial Alliance of Canada. My goodness. And you can get more information there at crownsman.com/IAC. You can join up a member. That's $40 a month. And that's just all about supporting. And so you can get our research. It's partially funded by IAC.
Yeah.
If you go to crownsman.com, you'll see a news section there. There's industry reports
Yeah.
talking about the markets, really interesting stuff that we're adding in there. That's a lot of times done by Arjun Sharma.
Yes.
He's just excellent at digging in and giving sometimes quite complicated information and simplifying it so that, and
You're
it's really
able
good
to-
if you're trying to expand your business and you're trying to
Yes.
understand a market.
Mhm.
So there's lots of good content on our website.
Yeah.
So please follow us. Please look at our website. Join the IAC and support the industrial sectors. It helps fund us looking at government policies that are making it difficult for
Yes.
the industrial sector to grow. And yeah, so be a part of our network. We look forward to you. Thank you for watching and listening.
That's right.
And tell your friends.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.